morning. So we are going to start investigation number 3 for paper. 3? Yeah, sorry. So what you are going to need for this investigation today are your paper samples. You are going to need a little cup of water and a dropper. You are going to need your science notebook. You are also going to need to have a bowl or a basin of water. Okay? So go ahead and pause this video while you gather those supplies. All right. So today our focus question is, what happens when water gets on paper? What happens when water gets on paper? Think about that for a minute. Okay, what do you think happens to paper when we get water on it? All right. Pause the video, obviously, if you didn't get a chance to think about it yet. Okay, so what happens when water gets on paper? You already have your own ideas about what you think happens when water gets on paper. So now it's time to experiment. Okay? So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to take your dropper and I want you to take your water and I want you to take the next minute or so practicing one drop at a time like we did when we were using these droppers on wood. Okay? So what we did is you squeeze, submerge, let go, lift. And then ever so gently, you squeeze the black tip. So one drop comes out at a time. If you squeeze too hard, it all comes out. We don't want that. So we want to squeeze the black tip, submerge the tip into the other tip into the water, let go, and then you can see how it fills up with water, and then you gently put pressure on the black rubber and one drop comes out. So take a minute or so, please, and practice that before we begin. Pause the video now. Okay, so now what I would like you to do is I would like you to get out, let's see, 2 pieces of paper. Let's get out your facial tissue and tag board. Okay, facial tissue and tag board. I'm going to lower the camera. Hold on. So you can see what I'm going to do. All right, so I have my facial tissue and my tag board, and now I am going to get my dropper and I am going to put 1 drop of water onto each sample and observe what happens. Interesting. I don't know about you, but I definitely have water that is, we call this, it beads up. We have a water bead. Okay. And then this, we have no water bead, but the water just spread right out and absorbed into the tissue. So we have a water bead, and we have water that just spread and absorbed. Okay, interesting. So I'm going to move these over here. And let's get out a couple more. How about we get out that craft paper? Craft paper and, how about the newsprint? They both kind of feel almost the same. I think the craft paper has a bit more texture to it than the newsprint, but let's observe and let's see what happens here. All right, observe. One drop and one drop. Interesting. So, I don't know about you, but the water is definitely in a bead. It has beaded up on both. But it's not quite the same as the tag board. The tag board bead still looks a bit different than, especially I'm really observing this one right here. We have a water bead, but if you're paying very close attention, you can see what it is slowly doing. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and move those to the side. And let's do some more. Let's do some corrugated board and some chipboard. One drop each. Interesting. That wasn't what I expected. So what I want you to do is I want you to continue doing what we're doing right here with one drop on each piece and observing and keeping all of your pieces close by so you can keep observing what the water is doing to the paper over time. Okay? And some things that I want you to take into consideration while you're conducting this experiment are things like which of these samples would be good if you spilled milk all over the table? Which piece of paper would you grab? Would you grab the newsprint or the cardboard or the tissue, the paper towel? So based on what this paper does with water, what would you pick? Okay. And are there samples that you would definitely pick if you wanted to wrap something to protect it from water? Which piece of paper would you use? So say you had something that just could not get wet, like you were going to wrap a cell phone in one of these papers. Which one would you use in hopes that the cell phone would stay dry? Okay? It would protect the cell phone from the water. And I also would like you to discuss with me, like, even though you've had this water on this paper now for a while, has which paper stayed the same? Has the water changed at all? Okay? Or has the water been basically, just kind of doing its own thing and going a little crazy? You can decide. You make your observations, and I want you to talk to me about it. Just like we did the other day about which paper would be best for writing. After you're done with this, I want you to decide, well, these papers would be like really good for cleaning up spills, and these papers would be good for protecting something from getting wet, or sort them any other way that you think that would be useful for, okay? They're definitely all doing something different with water, all right? And I am going to, this just popped into my head. I'm going to, because I forgot to get my piece of paper towel. You should have a piece of paper towel too. Hang on, or a napkin. So here at school, I do a lot of complaining over the paper towels that we have here at school. You know what they are, these brown, yucky, recycled paper towels. And so I thought, just now, I'm just thinking to myself as I'm talking to you, wouldn't it be kind of cool to see what these brown paper towels do when you put water on them? Because I tried to clean up milk today with them and I was very frustrated with it. So let's see what happens. Interesting. Interesting. That's really interesting. One drop. And it's still spreading out. I also have some napkin. A little piece of this napkin. These are the napkins that we use here at school. So let's try a piece of napkin. Interesting. That was one drop. Interesting. So, I'm not going to do the wax paper because actually I think the wax paper is kind of fun to do. So after you conduct the experiment, you can do some other fun things with the water and the wax paper. So go ahead, test out your different pieces of paper with your water. Make your observations. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper over here that we haven't even put water on yet. And if you have other paper in your home that we don't even have listed here, like you don't have as part of your pile, go ahead and get those and test them. See how, maybe you have some computer paper. What would happen to that paper if it got a drop of water on it? Maybe you have some construction paper or some wrapping paper or some sandpaper. See what happens. You do have sandpaper. See what happens when those papers get wet. And then after you're done with all of that, okay, after you're done with all of that, I want you to answer this question in your science notebook. What happens when water gets on paper? Okay, what happens when water gets on paper? And don't just say it gets wet. We know that. We're getting it wet. But what actually happens to the paper? And tell me about a specific paper. If you want to talk to me about the paper towel, talk to me about the paper towel. If you want to talk to me about the facial tissue, talk to me about the facial tissue. Pick one and talk to me about what happens when it gets wet. Then, after all of that, then I want you to get out your bowl of water. Okay, and I'm going to put it on my lap here so I can move my camera down. And now we're going to make a prediction. We want to know what happens to paper when it gets submerged. Say submerged. All right, so this is what I mean by submerged. You see the tip of this dropper, right? Before I was saying squeeze, submerge, right? The tip is submerged. It means it is under water. Release, pull out, okay? So we're going to submerge our paper and then let it sit overnight and see what happens to it, okay? So first you're going to make your predictions. What do you think is going to happen to the paper? Obviously, paper reacts differently with water. We've just observed that. So what's going to happen to it if it's completely submerged? Take a few moments to have that discussion and then come back to the video. All right, are we ready? So we are submerging. It's a beautiful sunny day here. All right, so I'm going to take the paper and I'm going to put it in the water. All of it. And just ignore your writing. We're not talking today about what happens to the writing when it gets into the water. We're talking about what happens to the paper when it gets into the water. Okay? And then so now I have to submerge. Can you see the basin? Okay, I know it's really sunny. Okay. Oops, I got a piece of that. I need to put a piece of this in a napkin. All right, so submerge. Ready? Under it goes. All right, so now all of the paper is completely submerged. I'm not playing with it. I'm not jostling it around. I just wanted to push it under. And now I'm going to observe what happens. I'm going to have some more sense-making discussion. And then we want to make sure that it gets to actually, as you can see, some of it doesn't submerge very long, does it? I submerge it, but then it floats back up. Is it all floating? Nope. Let's see what happens. All right, so we'll leave that overnight and see what happens to it. Okay? Is it going to fall apart? Is it going to just be wet? Is it going to change color? Is it not going? We don't know. We don't know. We're going to find out. Okay. So that is experimenting with paper and water. Our next two activities are going to be in a couple of days, and they're super fun. All right.